Right now on the National Weather Desk, new flooding, evacuations, and water rescues in Washington state as relentless rain soaks the already soggy Northwest.
The levee broke and the emergency wall next to the levee broke.
The atmospheric rivers also raising the risk of damaging landslides.
The exposed hillsides like the ones here are a significant risk.
A combination of foggy weather and burning wood makes the air unhealthy in California.
That can exacerbate asthma or other respiratory conditions.
We'll take you on a journey across one of the most dangerous bodies of water in the world.
It is like one of the most unnerving feelings I've ever had.
And make sure you know the warning signs of hypothermia.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. More rain will fall on the already soaked Pacific Northwest today. It's the last thing the region needs as rivers are once again overflowing their banks. Now, new this morning, flooding in the city of Pacific south of Seattle. Rescues were taking place overnight as the water from the White River overran some homes and neighborhoods.
Big sandbags trying to kind of create a temporary wall here for the water to stop it from flowing and down the street. We know the levee down that way broke and the emergency wall behind it also broke. So this is the fix for now.
Thousands of other people have been evacuated across the region as rivers flood and levees fail. Crews were able to temporarily repair one breach, allowing a flood warning to be lifted, but the risk of flooding is still strong, especially with more rain today. And get this, since the start of December, some areas north of Seattle have seen more than 2 feet of rain. Meteorologist George Waldenberger has more on what's ahead.
The rains will build later this morning into early afternoon, and they become widespread for the drive home this evening. It looks wet and windy, and that will aggravate our current river flooding. You can see all the warnings in light green, and in dark green, that's a flood watch through Thursday. So that's when our threat for even more river flooding will continue.
And across the region, people are closely watching the water, hoping they won't join those forced out of their homes already. But as the water rises, evacuations are inevitable. We have 2 reports this morning, starting with meteorologist Stella Sun.
As the Green River swelled,
I've never seen it this high and certainly never seen it break a levee before.
And the Desimone levee gave way,
Our phones just all started buzzing at the same time.
flash flood warnings rang out in parts of Tukwila, Renton, and Kent. More than 46,000 people, 2 schools, and a hospital told to go now and move to higher ground immediately.
Had to actually evacuate our entire branch today, unfortunately.
Numerous businesses, including Loomis Armored Services, which provides armored truck and cash handling services, impacted. Around 80 or so employees scrambled to go.
We had to immediately raise alarm bells because, we have people that are out on route, we have people that are in the building, people that have to get on the interstate and try to go home.
While many left the area, others went towards the breach.
I thought the process of them getting on it and quickly, working on it was pretty neat because it prevented further issues and they issued the flash flood warning and did they evacuate people as well? I think this was probably the best case scenario where it only flooded slightly before they were able to get it under control.
Between Auburn and Kent are numerous trouble spots where floodwaters have pushed their way into buildings and even people's homes. Some neighborhoods are evacuated and others are on standby to go.
The Green River Road's kind of a levee system. And if it's breached that, this is all going to go underwater. They're probably going to try to evacuate.
Willie Hart's home is okay for now, but the yard is filled and a neighbor's trailer got caught in the rising waters.
And a couple vehicles, the neighbor's vehicle got buried, and I might have one right now I got to go look at.
A 6-mile stretch of State Route 167 has been repeatedly closed due to water over the roadway, and plenty of surface streets are dangerous to drive.
Really, the roads change so quick. 1 minute it'll be fine and you can come through, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
The extent of the flooding and the amount of damage it will likely bring is hard for many to take in.
A lot crazier than I figured. I thought it was all just a news hype, but it's for real. It's crazy.
The series of storms has increased the risk of landslides. The Seattle area has already seen some significant issues near state highways. Reporter Chris Daniels has details.
A brief rainbow stands tall over West Seattle as a new concern rests on the surface.
It's really about the soil being so saturated that trees that are, either older or just starting to sway back and forth may actually come down.
The string of storms helped to prompt one slide off I-90. Saturated soil in the raging South Fork of the Snoqualmie River appears to have led to the undercutting of the hillside supporting the freeway and the closure of a couple of eastbound lanes as a result.
The data shows us that we've had a lot of rain, that those rainfall amounts exceed the threshold that we've seen with past landslide events.
Ben Muris is a geologist with the USGS Landslide Hazards Program and says this chart shows how the groundwater levels have spiked near Mukilteo, and yet another shows the soil is very wet.
The Antecedent Wetness Index, AWI, is just a simple bucket model for how rapidly the soils wet up and drain out in response to precipitation.
The exposed hillsides, like the ones here near Alki Point in West Seattle, are a significant risk. In fact, there have been dozens of landslides here in the past. The city of Seattle says 8.4% of the city's surface is slide prone. And while retention walls have been built over the years to prevent future slides, it wasn't clear if any mitigation work was being done after this trifecta of atmospheric rivers.
We are now just 5 days away from the start of winter, and it certainly felt like it this past week as northern states saw single digits, and even the deep south was sub-freezing. The drastic drop in temperatures can have a big impact on marine animals, causing them to stun and even wash ashore. Fallon Mears is in South Carolina with more.
Sea turtles take on the temperature of their environment. So when water temperatures drop, their internal body temperature drops as well.
Ashley Wright notes turtles can handle gradual temperature changes, but abrupt or prolonged cold can be dangerous. During cold snaps, turtles must be warmed slowly, no more than 5 degrees per day, to avoid shock and secondary health issues. The rehabilitation process usually takes 4 to 6 months, depending on the injury.
And then in really severe cases, we can also see things like frostbite. It shows up in little white patches typically on the tops of their skin, even on their carapace, and those oftentimes will get topical treatments.
Schwinter reminds us of a bigger event in 2022 when 13 turtles were stranded during sustained period of cold temperatures. Last week, there was a green turtle spotted that SCDNR sent to South Carolina Aquarium.
We did have a new patient come in this past week that's stranded on Folly Beach that was found by people walking the beach. And this turtle was called into the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and was brought here. This turtle is now in water and had just started eating, so happy to see some positive progress.
Portions of California have seen improved air quality in recent years. Right now, smoke is impacting some neighborhoods due to wood stoves and backyard burning. As Hannah Gutierrez found out, days of fog in the region are making things even worse.
Air quality in Butte County has been good to moderate. However, wood stove, fireplace, and backyard burning can lead to smoke impacts in your neighborhood.
One of the biggest issues that we have with burning is just burning wet wood or wet vegetation. That always makes denser smoke, and that smoke hangs lower to the ground. That can lead to impacts for your direct neighbors.
Manley says those impacts could be harmful.
Smoke is full of pollutants, including PM2.5, really fine particulates that can exacerbate asthma or other respiratory conditions. At the very least, it can just be irritating. It can cause itchy, reddening eyes, difficulty of breathing, depending on the concentration.
To mitigate the amount of smoke in the air, Manley says to wait and ensure your burn pile is completely dry before burning.
Also, if you have your firewood outside, you want to make sure it's nice and covered. There's good air circulation so that the wood stays dry. And you also want to make sure that that wood is well seasoned too. So if you just cut down that wood this year, it might not be ready to burn yet. The thing with burning wood indoors is just make sure that it's not super tight. You want to keep it kind of loose so that there's good airflow in the firebox. Make sure to keep the fire hot. That'll create more heat for you, and also the more heat there is, the less smoke that's generated.
More than 200,000 glaciers exist on Earth, but experts say climate change has made thousands of them disappear over the past few decades. A new report is suggesting as the planet continues to heat up, the pace of glacier extinction is expected to pick up at the same time. Now, researchers predict by the middle of the century, up to 4,000 glaciers a year will go away. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll hear from a travel influencer about her trip across one of the most dangerous bodies of water in the world, and we'll show you the warning signs of hypothermia.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look the Northeast. It's another chilly day in the Northeast with highs in the low to mid 30s. Normal high is closer to 40 degrees. And we'll be shy of that once again. Here we are during the early morning hours in the teens and low 20s. Notice a day filled with sun. We have that working in our favor, and the wind will be lighter than yesterday in the Northeast. Thursday will feature some more clouds mixing in. There's a front to our west, and that could bring a few snow showers through northern New England and New York late Wednesday into Wednesday night.
I'm Chief Meteorologist George Bailey. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic regions, tracking more sunshine to arrive on Tuesday. Likely going to see that again on Wednesday, too, as temperatures will actually have a chance to rise up. A weak front passing through. It will be a dry one and even not really touching your temperatures as it is a very weak system, but likely going to start thawing out. Mid to upper 30s for Tuesday afternoon, 40s to 50s even heading into Wednesday.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. High pressure remains in control here through the middle of the week. This leaves our weather pattern quiet, but we do have the chance for a couple of showers there along the Mississippi River Valley heading into Wednesday. But after a cold start to Tuesday morning, expect a chilly one into the afternoon for most of the southeast with temperatures in the 50s from the Carolinas all the way to the northern Gulf Coast. More mild conditions, though, across central and south Florida into the mid-70s through the afternoon.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A rare phenomenon just for winter. Looks and spins a lot like a dust devil, but with snow, cold, and without the surface heat required for a dust devil. Such a vortex is also known as a snownado. This video sent to our Charleston, West Virginia station. And sent to our Chattanooga station, this pooch getting the hang of his snow boots.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
We mentioned the cold earlier, and in Wisconsin, recent storms dropped enough snow on the ground for people to enjoy outdoor winter activities. Eric Peterson shows us what they're doing.
Winter definitely arrived a little bit earlier than we're used to in the last few years, which really excites us. I mean, that's what our parks are for. It's for the users to recreate year-round, and winter gives that new perspective, that new beginning with the blanket of snow.
Brown County Parks Director Matt Creasy says about 30 miles of cross-country ski trails at 3 sites are groomed and ready to go.
That would be Barkhausen, Reforestation Camp, and Neshota. And at each of those parks, we also offer snowshoeing and winter hiking trails.
On a very crisp Friday morning, Bruce Kotarek and his wife, Melissa, take to the snowshoe trails at Barkhausen Waterfowl Preserve.
Very excited to have snow this year. It's been a dry couple of years, so we like to get out and snowshoe and snow bike and ski and enjoy the winter.
When it gets cold, and especially having the snow that we do this early, it's really nice to be able to get out and get into the snow. I'd rather have the snow when it's cold than just have the cold, because there's not a lot you can do in that.
Back on the trails, Matt Creasy reminds people to stay on the designated routes and avoid trekking on those that are groomed.
Our park rangers put their heart and soul into grooming these trails and spend countless late nights and early mornings getting the track set.
Creasy says when it comes to winter recreation, the more snow, the better.
We're happy to have it at this early in the game, and let's hope it sticks around through Christmas and beyond.
Well, after snow falls, we know it's important to keep sidewalks, roads, and driveways clear, but there is something else in your neighborhood that officials say is often overlooked when it comes to snow removal. Meteorologist Audrey Lee reminds us about the fire hydrant.
The really big thing with fire hydrants is they are our lifeline when we have a fire.
Green Bay has already seen more than a foot of snow this season.
What happens after a snowfall, especially like when plows go through or people are snowblowing, that slushy snow can freeze and it can be a little bit harder to unclear it in case of emergency where those seconds really matter.
This fire hydrant isn't buried, but it isn't cleared either. Firefighters need at least 3 feet around it cleared in order to work and walk around.
The reason why we have that much space is because there's tools that we need to connect to the hydrant in the event of a fire.
There are about 4,000 fire hydrants across the Green Bay area. Too many for fire departments to maintain on their own, so they rely on the community for help.
We invite children to adopt a hydrant that's near their home or area. This is a really great way to get kids involved, give them some responsibility in the wintertime, and then obviously save precious minutes in a case of an emergency.
With more heating and holiday hazards, house fires increase in winter, making it much more important to keep the hydrants clear.
Just because a hydrant is in front of somebody's house, a lot of people utilize that hydrant, just not that one homeowner.
Frigid weather has hit parts of the country in recent days, and it leads to the risk of hypothermia. Meteorologist Teresa Carter reviews the signs.
Hypothermia is an abnormally low body temperature, usually under 96 degrees, brought on when a person spends a long period of time exposed to cold temperatures. Loss of body heat can also occur when a person becomes wet with water or sweat, even in milder temperatures. It is important to note this condition can happen outdoors as well as indoors, especially when someone isn't properly clothed or lives in a poorly heated home. When the temperature starts to drop, the body can start to shiver. Shivering is the body's attempt to warm itself. It is an automatic defense against cold temperatures. Symptoms of hypothermia include confusion or memory loss, shivering, slurred speech or mumbling, drowsiness or very low energy, and stiff muscles. Other symptoms can include slow, shallow breathing, weak pulse, and in infants, bright red, cold skin. People with hypothermia usually aren't aware of their condition. The symptoms often begin gradually. Call 911 or your local emergency number if you suspect someone has hypothermia. And remember, be safe, aware, and prepared for cold weather.
The Drake Passage, a 600-mile stretch between South America and Antarctica, is one of the most dangerous bodies of water on Earth. Thousands of tourists cross it each year on commercial cruises, but with 40-feet waves and a deadly history, it's not an easy journey. Emily Gracie sat down with a travel influencer who made the crossing 8 times.
It goes up in the front, slams down in the front, and then rocks from side to side like a roller coaster or some sort of evil carnival ride. It is like one of the most unnerving feelings I've ever had. You really don't know when it's going to start, and you don't know when it's going to stop. So if it's really bad, it can take up to 3 days for you to cross the passage.
Is it better to look out and see the horizon, or does that make it worse?
You know, everyone always tells me this, and I personally think it makes it worse because I see the amount of movement you see on the horizon on the Drake Passage is a lot. Like, yeah, I think the best thing to do is just focus on like people that are around you and things inside the ship, and maybe don't look outside.
Any other tips for somebody who wants to go to Antarctica, scared of going through the Drake Passage, or maybe somebody who really wants to try it, like is wondering what this is all about?
If you are a person who really wants to try the Drake Passage, I applaud you. You would have a very easy time getting to Antarctica. But mostly for anyone who is afraid of going because of the Drake Passage, I honestly would still suggest doing it and just preparing yourself mentally and like with your products to bring. Mentally, you could start doing some types of meditations, like anti-anxiety meditations really work, and you can have some downloaded in case you start to like panic. Just bring all the medicine that you need. There's always nurses on board. There's a doctor on board. Remind yourself constantly that there is a full-on infirmary on board. If you do get sick, they will help you. These ships are built specifically for that passage. So don't worry about the ships. The ships are completely safe, and the expedition crews are amazing. They are so skilled and it's very, very experienced, except that you might vomit a couple times, maybe.
And to hear more wild stories from the Drake Passage, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. It's available now anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And time now for a short break. But first, we soar over holiday lights at the park in Hampstead, Maryland.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. Pretty quiet across the Midwest, where temperatures range from 30s and 40s closer to the Ohio River Valley, but some 50s out to the west. So Lincoln looking at a high today around 55, partly cloudy. Springfield, Illinois, 42. Columbus, 35 for today. And then for tonight, temperatures are going to be in the 20s and 30s, and overall, again, pretty quiet.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Boy, it's cold this morning. Little Rock at 29, Shreveport at 33. We're looking at 56 down into Brownsville, 41 for our friends out here in El Paso. A little bit of a trough light coming through, some clouds early in the morning. It'll break, we'll see some sunshine. Temperatures on the warm up. That means, yeah, we're headed right back above the normal. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. The warmth and the odd weather continues out west, balancing out the cold and the odd weather back east. 77 today in Phoenix. We cannot buy a snowstorm in the Wasatch this season in Salt Lake City, and nothing but endless rain and river flooding for western Washington. Very gusty winds ahead of the storm in Montana today as well. And that's the scene from here.
I'm meteorologist Zach Hatcher here at Dayton 24/7 now in Dayton, Ohio, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
When it comes to natural snow on mountains, it doesn't always accumulate evenly. That's because of something called upslope now. Meteorologist Dave Dirks explains.
One component of winter storms over the southern Appalachian region is upslope snow, and this occurs when cold, moist air within a northwest flow is forced up the mountain slopes, and this is called orographic lifting, and this causes the air to cool, to condense and form clouds, and can result in heavy snowfall on the windward or northwestern side of the mountains. Sometimes this flow can actually link up with Great Lake moisture, believe it or not, and produce intense snow squalls. It's a key factor in winter forecasting for our region and can lead to heavy snow on the northwest side of the mountains, but little or none on the leeward or downward side of the mountains. One area of upslope snow in our region occurs along the Cumberland Mountain Range near the Kentucky-Virginia border, also on the west side of the mountains along the Tennessee-North Carolina-Virginia border. It's not unusual for the Tri-Cities to see minor or even no accumulation during this kind of upslope flow.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.